the helicarrier that had a bunch of Nazi vampires. Well, Cap is driving that ship straight into New York. I'm like, what is Cap thinking here? This is Avengers issue 15, Blood Hunt tie-in. Honestly, this Avengers team is a lot better than our current Avengers team. Like, Marvel, if you're seeing this, bring this team to the normal Avengers team. At this point, Steve solos a lot of people, bro. I just can't. And this is a guy who doesn't even like Cap. We see the Avengers on the helicarrier, right, with a bunch of Nazi vampires at with Baron Blood. And Baron Blood's like, kill the Avengers for me. Steve right here throws his fucking shield, like that, like a frisbee, right? Baron Blood catches it, but we find out this is laced with silver, and it fucks the vampire up so bad. He's like, ah, and burns his hand. Cap runs at Baron Blood, and Baron Blood gets on top of the railing and jumps at him on top of his shield, and they go one-on-one. Cap clothesline that bitch, right? Taking him off of the battlefield, going through the helicarrier and shit, and pretty much tells the Avengers, like, hey, get all the hostages out of here. I'll take care of Baron Blood. That's some top G shit from Steve right here. Hazmat uses her abilities right here, this radioactive ability, and burns all these fucking Nazi vampires. And we saw in the last issue, the way that she uses her abilities is almost like solar radiation. Hazmat pretty much blinded all those vampires and weakened them, while we see Hercules grabbing her, right, because she's dizzy now, to go one deck below to get all the hostages. Quicksilver, however, gets a wooden stake and pretty much takes out all the vampires off screen. Steve asks Baron Blood, like, are you the one that took out the sun? And Baron Blood's like, nah, but you know what? I might as well take advantage of it. And they pretty much keep going through the helicarrier, right? And Cap is really just stalling time here. We see right here, Hercules, Kate Bishop, and Hazmat successfully get all the hostages out of the helicarrier, dropping down to New York. And Hercules calls Cap, like, hey, Cap, this is Hercules. We did our job here. Are you doing all right? Cap asks Hercules, are the civilians safe? Hercules says yes. So Steve is like, you know what? Our plan is we gotta neutralize Baron Blood and his forces and take control of the ship. But then out of the blue, Baron Blood spears him on the side, taking him down further in the hallway. Cap and the Avengers pretty much think like, oh, we took out most of the vampires. We got most of the hostages, right? Or pretty much all of them. Nah, all these capsules are fucking reserves for the vampire army. I'm like, yo, that's a lot. Cap calls the Avengers like, hey guys, Baron Blood has got more vampires than we thought. And Quicksilver or Pietro's like, yeah, and he's got a lot more prisoners. Cap threw the shield at Baron Blood, knocking him down to the bottom floor. But we see Cap right here with a bunch of grenades and throws it into the reserve section, right? Blowing like most of the vampire army that are reserved. Now the rest of the Avengers, right, pretty much rescue all the prisoners, breaking all the gates, but there's no more like pods left. And right here, we pretty much see Pietro and Hazmat just discussing with each other like, we gotta rally up the troops. The one to do that is actually Kate Bishop. She doesn't do a bad enough job, but honestly, it's Steve, man. Steve's the one to do this. Now, Steve goes down the hallway, right, to pretty much the main bridge of this helicarrier, and he starts driving it. And then you see Baron Blood walking in and saying, oh, Captain, trying to fuck with him, right? And Cap's like, oh, wanna come in, eh? You see Cap going, whoa, like forcing it down to New York City into like the ocean or some shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And Cap's like, buckle up. Listen, Steve is a top G in this series right now. Absolutely love him.